So are you making a taco right now? Okay.
Okay, now. Are you wrong? Okay. Never checked my numbers. You got numbers? That's my favorite sweater.
Thanks.
Oh,
Oh, I got them. So good, mine.
It's funny because it's like one of your favorite sweater, but I don't always like
Okay.
so long. So
Only 2:30. Wait, but also,
So we left off yesterday by number 6, which is that one of the main features of the Hasidic way of life is Ahavas Yisrael. We explained yesterday what that means is not Ahavas Yisrael in general. That's something which is in the Torah, it's in Gemara, many sources. It's about the idea that Ahavas Yisrael is unconditional. So I want to explain this a little bit. What it says is that up until the Baal Shem Tov, people, there were 3 things that are known. One is love for Hashem, and the third one is Ahavas HaTorah, love for the Torah. So there's one way of perceiving this as 3 separate things. Love for Hashem is one thing. Love for a fellow Jew is another thing. Love for Hashem, and the Baal Shem Tov taught that love for Hashem and love for Torah and love for Ahavas Yisrael, it's all the same thing, one and the same. How's that? That okay, Ariel, we'll take over. That
so remember,
which Hayom Yom is it?
you know, I need to know.
Okay, I'm gonna need to know because I'm gonna have to ask the questions. Okay, so it is Hayom Yom that all 3 are really one and the same thing. What are the 2 ways? One way of looking is like this: my love for Hashem is universe. He's the one who gives me life. He's the one who's giving me all the blessings that I have, and therefore I should appreciate that, and I should love Hashem for giving me all these things. That's one thing. The love for a fellow Jew is for a different reason, being that this is a Jewish person that lives with the principles of Torah, lives with the principles of mitzvahs, which means here is a person that lives a refined life and a life that has meaning and has purpose. This person deserves to be loved and to be respected. So we should have love for a fellow Jew. And what's the love for Torah? That's the third thing. Torah is wisdom. In general, we should appreciate and have a love for wisdom. But being that Torah is the deepest wisdom, the most truthful wisdom, the wisdom that encompasses all wisdom, so I should have the greatest love for Torah. If you look at it this way, there are 3 separate things. The Baal Shem Tov taught that that's external, that's on the surface, but beyond that, it's much deeper. It's all one thing. Love for Hashem and love for a Jew and love for Torah is one and the same. Why? We learn in Tanya that every Jew has a neshama, a nefesh elokis, a godly soul, which means the soul is part of Hashem. If I love Hashem, then for that very same reason, I should have love for the godly soul, because that is part of Hashem. What is the difference? If I say I love a fellow Jew because being that this is a Jewish person, so therefore his life is a life that has meaning, has purpose, is a refined life. What about a Jew who doesn't follow Torah? What about a Jew who is an ignoramus, like we said yesterday, someone who doesn't know? Then I look at this person, I say, why should I have this respect for him? Why should I have this love for him when he lives such a simple life that doesn't have so much meaning and purpose because he doesn't really follow the Torah the way it is. He doesn't even understand what Torah is all about. But if my love for a fellow Jew is because he has a nefesh elokis, and it means that the nature of my love for a Yid is the same love that I have for Hashem. Every Yid is part of Hashem. So therefore, it makes no difference whether he's on this level, or on that level, or on no level, being that he is a chelek of a kami mal mamish, part of Hashem. Therefore, he deserves to be loved and respected, and that's why the Baal Shem Tov taught unconditional love for every Yid. And the same thing is with Torah. You could appreciate Torah and love Torah because of its academic value. Like I said before, it's wisdom, it's the deepest wisdom, it's the most truthful wisdom. It's a wisdom that encompasses and includes all the wisdom of the world. But that's because it's wisdom. The real reason and the real true identity of Torah is that it's God's wisdom. Torah is godly, it has Hashem's presence in it. It's a manifestation of Hashem. So therefore, love for Hashem and love for Torah and love for Ahavas Yisrael is one and the same. It's all my love for Hashem. And that's what it means, that it's all one. So as a result of that, we see two things. Number one, as a result of that, the Baal Shem Tov taught that love for a fellow Jew is unconditional. And by the way, in the times of the Baal Shem Tov, it was very rare to find Jews who just didn't observe Torah mitzvahs at all. It was something very rare. But what wasn't rare and was very common was Jews who, like I said, were ignoramuses. And as a result of their ignorance, they made a lot of mistakes. They did things wrong. They read things wrong. They did things that on Shabbos you're not allowed to do. They did things that which were prohibited to do only because of lack of knowledge. And today we go a step further. Even Jews who are not observing Torah mitzvahs, don't observe anything, doesn't change the fact that this is a chelek of a kami mal mamish. And therefore, if I love Hashem, I should love every single Jew. And a Jew and Hashem are in essence one. And that's where it comes from. The second thing is, another argument that was given was, even though love for a fellow Jew is a mitzvah, but the feeling was that the Chassidim put too much emphasis on it, make it very central to Yiddishkeit. It's a mitzvah, but why are you making it so important as if this is everything?
Rabbi,
Yes?
both sides of Tanya, we know that there is a iman. We
You don't find it written up before, no.
So only Tanya discovered this.
There's one source which says something, which is really what it says in Tanya, but in a different language, not in this language of Chelik and Kavimal. What's the source? And that's very interesting. Rambam, Maimonides. Maimonides writes, and what he writes is actually a halacha and Gemara. There's certain things that a person has to do, but it's only valid if he does it willingly. Let's say a man is in a situation where he has to divorce his wife. Let's say he's not treating her well and she wants out, and he doesn't want to. So you could say, okay, let's force him to give the get, the divorce. But the halach is that a divorce isn't valid unless it's given willingly. So how could you force him? So the answer is you put so much pressure on him until he says, I want to do it. Let me alone, leave me, stop hitting me. I'll do it, I want to do it. If he says, I want to do it, it's a good get. Now this is found in Gemara, it's found in Rashi and Chumash, but no one explains it. Why is it good? He doesn't really want to. He's just saying it. If you would not apply the pressure, he would go right back to who he was before. So the Rambam says these words, really every Yid wants to do what the Torah tells him to do. But as the Yetzer Hara is the one that's pushing him to do the opposite. So when a person says these words, I want to, his real true desire comes out. So this would be a source in earlier writings before Chassidus that every Jew deep down in his heart, even someone goes against Torah, even that person really wants to do what Hashem wants. Why? Because he has a nefesh elokis. But where is it first brought out is in Tanya. I'm sure if you look in, where does the Alter Rebbe get it from? Zohar. So it's already in the Zohar, in Kabbalah. But it wasn't publicized, it wasn't known. So the first place that really publicized it was Tanya. How would you answer this question? It must be one of the Hayom Yoms, I'm not sure. They once asked the Alter Rebbe, so what's greater, love for Hashem or love for a fellow Jew? Is that one of the Hayom Yoms?
But they're one and the same. So how can you compare them?
Wait, that's a good question. But over there it says, the Alter Rebbe says, love for a fellow Jew is greater. And he explains why. Because when you love someone, you love those that they love. And being that Hashem loves every Yid, if you love Hashem, you should love every Jew. So you're saying, but it's all one. So how could it be that love for a fellow Jew is more than love for Hashem? What could be greater than love for Hashem? I mean, he's the essence of everything. You could say it's like love for Hashem. It's equal, but you can't say it's greater.
It's creation of Hashem.
So it's like love for Hashem. Why is it greater than love for Hashem? So I'll try to explain it. I think this is the explanation. Who is it easier to love, Hashem or my next door neighbor competition?
Hashem.
Hashem is the easiest to love. You know why? He's in Shemayim. He's up there in heaven. He's a different. I don't see him. I don't bump into him. He's not getting in my way. In a sense, Hashem is far. What if happens if I have a friend next door that's annoying me, that's competition with me, somebody who maybe said something that's nice to me, and nevertheless, I should still not be angry or still love that person. So I'm asking, which is harder? In other words, which of the two expresses a greater love for Hashem? Loving Hashem himself or loving another person, which I have to share space with and share attention with?
Love someone that takes from you.
Right. It's much harder to love the other person than to love Hashem. Because the other person is someone that, in a sense, is some sort of competition with me, or a person that's maybe getting in my way, or maybe hurting me in some way or other, or maybe making me jealous, whatever reason there might be. It's so much harder to have the love for another person. So when it says that love for a fellow Jew is greater than love for Hashem, there's nothing greater than love for Hashem. What it means is the love that's for Hashem that's expressed by loving another person is greater than the love for Hashem that's expressed by purely loving Hashem.
Okay, I understand.
Everyone agree? Did you understand what I said? Follow? Okay. Like someone once made a comment. We just had this now, Yom Yom also, that it says, Abbas Yisrael is to love a Jew that's at the other end of the world. Even if you don't know who he is, you should have love for that person. So someone said, oh, that's the easiest. I don't know the person. I'm not involved with the person. I could love him. Why not? It's the people that I know that I might have a hard time loving because I'm upset about something. So in a sense, Hashem is abstract, so it's easier to love whichever way we love someone that's abstract. But to love a fellow person, that can get more in the way. So this also explains why Ahavas Yisrael, according to Baal Shem Tov, is so central to Judaism, being that everything in Yiddishkeit, all the Torah and all the mitzvahs, it's all based on one thing, which is love for Hashem. So therefore, Ahavas Yisrael is in a sense the essence, the core of everything in Yiddishkeit. In other words, remember we said in the beginning, when we spoke about this emotional bond with Hashem, we said it's like in a relationship, like in a marriage between husband and wife, that they are involved on many different levels with each other. They go shopping together, they raise the children together, they balance the checkbook together, each one goes to work and they pool their money together, whatever they do together, being that it's a marriage, not a business, so everything, the underlying factor is the love that they have for each other. And that's really what's behind everything. And whatever they do together reinforces the love. Whatever doesn't work out when they're doing it together somehow gets in the way of that love. So in a sense, with Hashem, there are many mitzvahs. There's Shabbos and there's Kashrus, and there is Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Purim and Hanukkah. But the thread that connects all the mitzvahs is love for Hashem. That's the essence, that's the core of everything. That's the essence of our relationship. Everything we do is an expression of that love, or everything we do is a manifestation of that love. So therefore, we can understand that love is at the center of all of Judaism. And if love for a fellow Jew is an expression of love for Hashem, so Ahavas Yisrael is also at the core of Judaism. Yeah.
I learned something actually from Samantha's brother, which is that the first letter of Torah is Beis, and the last letter is Vav. Lamed and Beis, and together it makes
Heart.
Heart.
Right.
Did you know that already?
I'm sorry.
30th letter.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have two more things to go. Number 7 and number 8. So number 7 is another thing that defines the Hasidic way of life, and that is on the sheet that says Lefnim Mishuras Adin, which means to go beyond the letter of the law. There's halacha, and there's certain requirements according to halacha, and Hasidim in general go beyond the requirement of halacha, and that's why they're referred to as ultra-orthodox, which means there are people that are orthodox, but not so extreme. And the Chassidim go beyond the letter of the law. So, for example, most people who are orthodox and follow Torah and adhere to Torah 100% put on tefillin every day. Chassidim put on 2 pairs of tefillin every day. We'll learn about it later, what are the 2 pairs, but it's not a requirement in halacha, it's going beyond halacha. Even the question of the beard, according to halacha, it's not a requirement that you have to grow a beard. You could be 100% religious Jew and follow an opinion that says that you don't have to grow the beard. Hasidim go beyond the letter of the law. And the same is with certain areas in kashrus and other areas. So explain a little bit, where's this coming from? Why? Like, what does that mean? I mean, Hasidim are people that want to torture themselves. It's difficult enough to keep up with halacha. Why do we have to go be extreme? Is this some sort of a sign of being OCD? Like, I'm not sure that I'm doing it right, so I do it more and more to be 100% sure. That's not a healthy thing. So where's it coming from? Yeah.
It's like if you value the relationship and you look at the mitzvahs as opportunities to connect instead of like restrictions on you, then you're not just like, what's like the least I can do, just like get out of to not good again.
Right. So this is what I'd like to explain. That it depends on how one observes mitzvahs. If a person doesn't necessarily feel like it's all about love for Hashem, it's an obligation, which I have. I'm a Jew, and Hashem gave me this obligation. I have to follow the rules. So I try to do the best I can, but I only feel that I should do what I'm obligated. Why should I go beyond and do even more than what I'm obligated? But if there's really an emotional bond, and I feel that when I do the mitzvahs, it involves love for Hashem. When you love someone, you don't calculate, and you don't measure, and you don't try to figure out exactly how much is necessary to sort of just do things right. You do it with all your heart and soul, and you do more. In fact, that's usually what expresses true love more than anything else. Again, using the analogy of a relationship, what if you have a relationship between husband and wife that they sort of respect each other. And the husband says that this is something which I do like or I don't like, the wife will respect it. And if the wife says this is something I do like or don't like, the husband will respect it. It's a good relationship, but not beyond that. When the husband or the wife does something which is not something which is necessarily like, this is the way, this is what you have to do. It's something which they do because they have a feeling, whether it's going out and buying a gift, doing something which is going to surprise them, doing something out of the ordinary to make them happy. These are the things that express true love, not the things which are the normal requirements. It's doing those things which are going out of my way. That's what expresses the true feeling. And the same as with Hashem, there's an expression in Gemara, which actually Professor Bush mentioned. It's an analogy. It's an analogy of Hashem and the Jewish people. Hashem is always compared to the husband, and the Yidden are compared to the wife. And it says, who is a truly loyal wife? The one that does the will of the husband. What does that mean? Meaning that who's a true loyal Yid? The one that does the will of Hashem. Well, of course, what else? No, the message here is something else. The message is not only to do the command of Hashem, but to do the will of Hashem. Which means even something which Hashem didn't command me and say, you must do this, or I prohibited you from doing that. But if I know this makes a difference, this will make you happy, then this is something that I enjoy doing because it gives me pleasure to make my spouse happy. It gives me pleasure to make Hashem happy. To give an example, there's a story in the Chumash with someone called Bilam. Who was Bilam? Bilam was a sorcerer, and he was actually a prophet. And there's a story in the Chumash that the king of Moab, his name was Balak. The whole parsha is called Balak. It's later in the 4th book of Torah, the book of Numbers. And it says that he was felt threatened when the Jews were coming his direction. So he knew that fighting with them, that's not going to work. I have to do something else. So he hired this person that he knew that he's very powerful, a spiritual, powerful person. He's a sorcerer. He should curse them. And he offered him a lot of money to do this. So this story, what I'm telling you now, is not a Medrash Gemara. It's in the Chumash. He set himself up on a certain hill, put everything together, and then he opened up his mouth to curse them. Instead of a curse, a blessing came out of his mouth. Very disappointed. So he said, let me try from another spot. Found another spot, set up all his rocks and stones and whatever he did. Opened up his mouth, and instead of a curse, another blessing came out. It happened 4 times. And the king, when he heard about it, was furious. He said, I hired you to curse them. Not only you didn't curse them, you actually gave them more strength. You blessed them. How dare you do that? What did he say to him? He said, I'm sorry. I can't go against the words of Hashem. There's an interesting emphasis here. He didn't say, I can't go against the will of Hashem. I can't go against the words of Hashem. What I mean to say is, once he did it the first time, you realize Hashem doesn't want him to do it. Why did he try a second time? Why did he try a third time? Basically, he said, as long as God doesn't say, don't do it, I'm going to keep trying. Even though he knew this is not what he wants. Which means, I'm not interested in the will of Hashem. I have no choice. I know he's boss. I can't violate what he tells me to do, a command. But the fact that he wants one way or another, I'm not interested in satisfying him. And that's what it means. True loyalty is when you do the will of your spouse, not just the command. Even things that they don't spell out and things that they don't clearly say. But if I know that this makes them happy or something else makes them upset, I'll go out of my way to do those things because I am invested interest in making this person happy. So basically, if a person loves Hashem, and I'm serving Hashem not as an obligation, but out of love, then I'm ready to do, not only ready, I want to look for things that are not part of the normal requirements and go beyond the letter of the law, because that is a way that I can express my love for Hashem. That's where it's coming from.
So how do you know the will?
How do I know the will? It means it's something with the Shulchan Aruch says, you're not required to give more than 10% for tzedakah. But if you give more than 10%, it's something which is Hashem, it's favorable in the eyes of Hashem. Which means I'm not obligated, but it says it's a good thing to do. So therefore, I want to go out of my way to do what Hashem wants. I once was in an office, and they had a clock where people punch in and punch out, and they come, and there's a sign there, and the sign says like this: if you don't believe in the resurrection of the dead, come here at 5 o'clock.
Where?
To the office where people are working.
Uh-huh.
Basically, it means when you walk into the office,
Oh
4
my
o'clock
God.
in the afternoon, everybody's like lethargic, yeah, what do you want? They're tired, the day's almost over. But as soon as the clock hits 5, all of a sudden everybody's lebedik and freilach, and everybody's getting together, and they're going home, and they're smiling, and they're talking. What happened? Tchias HaMesim.
Wow.
Why Tchias HaMesim? Because this is a job, and I'm going to work from 9 to 5, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do from 9 to 5. But after 5 o'clock, please don't call me. I don't want to hear from you. I'll speak to you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock again. Weekend, forget about it. What about the owner of the business, the one who's making the money? He's there 5 o'clock, and he's there 6 o'clock, and he's there 7 o'clock. By that time, his wife called him 10 times ready. When are you coming home?
Yeah.
The kids are ready to go to sleep. They haven't seen you yet today. So basically, the person who has invested interest in the business and loves what he's doing, and he wants to grow the business, he's not limited in time. He's not calculating. He's not measuring how much have I done. Like when you go to sleep at night, do you figure out, I heard it says somewhere that a person should sleep 8 hours. Let me set my alarm clock not to sleep a minute more than 8 hours, but why should I go overboard? I think most people a little bit longer under the covers, a little bit longer under the covers, eat exactly how much I need to be alive. No, they don't do that. We eat, it's pleasurable, we eat more, if it tastes good. So basically, when you do something that you love and you enjoy, you're not calculated, you go beyond. And that's where it comes from. Being that Chassidus is all about the emphasis on that emotional bond with Hashem, to learn Torah and do mitzvahs out of love for Hashem. So this leads that the way we do the Torah mitzvahs is going beyond the letter of the law. Of course, we have to make sure that, remember we learned in Pirkei Avos not to go to extremes. So even beyond the letter of the law also has its limits, not to go to something which is extreme and then it's counterproductive and you do more damage than do good. But the general idea of going beyond the letter of the law, that's where it comes from. Yeah.
How do we know, for instance, that like a man who wants to not just follow the will of God, but also the desires of God and everything else for God is going to grow out his beard big instead of shave his face? Like, how do we know for sure that Hashem prefers one over the other?
No, so usually, or not only usually, but I think even this has to have a source in the Torah. So for example, let's say about this subject, or like I mentioned before about tzedakah. The Torah says this is your requirement, but it says somewhere in the Torah that there are other opinions that say it's better if you do it this way. So being that I want to express to Hashem that I'm doing this out of love, I'll try to do more than just what the requirement and do what is, so to speak, according to some opinions, better. If there's no such opinion, me just to make up my own opinion and be extreme, then it's probably going to be counterproductive. So I have to have a source in Torah that that's what Hashem wants. You're right.
So there's a source about the beard in Torah.
Yeah.
Are there Kabbalistic reasons for growing your beard?
Right. There are two. It's part of our curriculum, by the way. In this class, we're going to learn about it at the end. There's one basis, which is according to Kabbalah, which is not halacha, so it's not a requirement. And then there's another base that even in halacha, there are opinions that say that it should be grown, and opinions say that it doesn't have to be grown. So you could be 100% committed Jew to Torah mitzvahs and not have the beard. But those that go beyond is because there are other opinions that say that. So you say, let me do that.
And then there's also the halacha that you do what your community does. So if you're a Chabadnik, then you should grow your beard because that's what everyone says.
Okay, that's another thing. But then, in a sense, you're almost not doing it out of love. You do it because, I have no choice. My community is doing it. I'm stuck. It shouldn't be because I'm stuck. It should be because I have a passion in what I'm doing. Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rabbi Majeski. I was just. What's up? No, I mean, I need to.
Yeah. But I need to like get my